Hello and welcome. It's my great pleasure to launch a three-part series in celebration of Reconciliation Week. It's part of our First Nations Friendship Plan. I had the great pleasure of having a yarn with Llew Mullins, who co-founded Yalari together with her indigenous husband, Whiteley Stanley, 17 years ago, and Lincoln Whiteley, one of Yalari's great graduates who now works full-time in the Yalari Pathways program. I found the conversation at times challenging, insightful, and really a great privilege to be part of. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Well, I've got a couple of very special guests here today for Reconciliation Week, and I want to introduce first of all Lincoln Whiteley, a Yalari alumni, and Lincoln and I have known each other now for probably about 8 years, Link. I think I first met you when you were probably still running around in short pants, so it's a lovely opportunity to sit and chat today. And Llew Mullins, one of the founding directors of Yalari, and Llew and I, we've probably known each other now for, 15 plus years. So thank you.
You were running around in short
And we all know that my legs don't warrant that ever, so that's not a good thing. So right at the outset, of course, we want to acknowledge the country upon which we're meeting and to pay our respects to elders past and present and emerging, particularly with an emerging leader here, although from different countries. But the purpose of our chat today is really to have a chat about Reconciliation Week and all things that might flow from that. I suppose right at the outset, you know, the theme this year, be brave, make a change. I guess the question for each of you is, Reconciliation Week, does it matter? Is it more symbolic than it is something pragmatic? And that theme, you know, if we are going to make a change, what change and what's that all about? Llew, your thoughts maybe?
Okay. Well, the optimist in me loves symbolism and Reconciliation Week and NAIDOC Week and Sorry Day and all those types of things. I think if somebody is going to be aware, they're going to throw themselves into it anyway, and if somebody who doesn't want to know about it, they're going to step aside. But I think they are important to be there for the shifts, the gentle shifts every year. I mean, even since the beginning of Yalari 15, 16, 17 years ago, I noticed the difference in these events and what happens at a community level.
Yeah.
So I think we have to keep going with this type of important event, and I think we'll see the shifts.
Yeah. Now, you're the only Indigenous person in this conversation today, Nick, so when I ask you this question, I guess I do it acknowledging that, but from your perspective as a young Indigenous man, what is it about for you and where does it sit for you?
I think it's all about being comfortable in what you know and why you know what you know. You know, right down to when we talk about Reconciliation Week, I think a lot of people might not know what that is, or in regards to sort of any Indigenous event throughout Australia, throughout history, I guess. Lots of it isn't all about the positives, and for people to understand that and be able to sit with it and be comfortable sort of in that uncomfortable, I think is where real learning happens, I guess. And even right down to, you know, acknowledgement of country, of where you are and the learning behind that. I think as individuals to be able to know where they are and sort of be comfortable in the different ways other people acknowledge where they are and their understandings of what Reconciliation Week is, or of any other sort of events throughout the calendar, to be comfortable in why, well, yeah, I guess what they know and why they know it.
Yeah. No, it's a week. It's one week of the year, and of course there are other weeks as well, NAIDOC Week for instance. So I guess there's a few acknowledgements that are creeping into the calendar, but I guess the question for each of you is, what about the other 50 weeks of the year, and what's that about, and what would you love to see happening more of in those 50 weeks of the year? Llew, perhaps?
I think continue being brave and making change, if I can be that simplistic. It's good but easy to do things in these weeks where we're being made aware of it. But I think if we can continue on our constant efforts But that's the really important part, to keep it going.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Link, you live as an Indigenous man, whether it's 1 week or 1 year or 1 decade, you are Indigenous. And I guess with that in mind, I mean, from your perspective, what would you like to see Australians, Australia, white Australia, other Australians thinking and doing more of?
I think for me, it's how do I say it's owning it and being confident in that and sharing different perspectives. Wasn't the brightest student going through school learning new things. Well, still learning new things today, and to be able to share that with people, I think you've got to be open to it. You've got to be vulnerable. But at the end of the day, you've got your culture on show, and your culture is who you are. So to do that every day and to look at it as a learning experience with other people, I guess is an exciting part of it. And that is this week and every single day.
So is that openness? That's a two-way street, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to be open to sharing something which is very personal to you, as it would be to any Indigenous person. But equally, you've got to be open to receiving it.
Yeah.
And so, is it too much to say that perhaps the change we need to make is just being willing to open up to receive and to truly listen?
Yeah, big time. That sums it up really well. If you're the only Aboriginal person that someone might know, or if you're, the only Aboriginal person in your workplace, well, you're representing everyone, and how can you do that to the best of your ability to showcase the rest of Indigenous Australia?
Geez,
and
that's a big one.
that's something that I think, to own that's pretty powerful, because you're representing, the people right here and the people before us.
But that has an extraordinary impact too, because you imagine, look, I'm sitting here as a white bloke thinking, well, I don't ever think that way. I'm not here representing every other white person.
Yeah.
But if you take that on board, it in a sense is an enormous obligation, but it also creates a better version of you.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's representing, more. Yeah. So.
That's a really good insight.
Well, I guess my analogy comes from it is, you don't wear your footy club jersey out on the weekend if you're, parading around, because everyone's going to know that you're from that club.
Yeah.
But the one footy jersey you can't take off is who you are, and that's your culture. So you're always representing, even if you do take that footy jersey off, you've just got your normal t-shirt on. Well, you're not representing the club right then and there, but you're still representing your culture.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that you can't escape, so you've got to wear it with a badge of honour.
Wow. I'm glad I pressed record.